So if we get a lot of snow, you know, call it.
You'll complain, but a lot of the other people be praising me, so. Oh, boy.
I've never had to water my lawn in January before, but I did the other day.
Yep,
I've never seen so much concrete poured in.
right.
That's right.
I know.
A lot of construction.
Unbelievable. Got it possible tonight. Did you pick up your cap?
Yeah, I did. Nice.
It is nice.
Pretty neat cap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll wear it.
Oh, yeah.
You don't look like a hack.
No? I'll wear it.
Yeah.
Incognito.
Incognito, that's what I do, see.
Yeah.
Put the sunglasses on.
I don't believe that for a minute.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the North Platte City Council meeting here on Tuesday, January 6, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. Of course, we're here in the City Council chambers calling the meeting officially to order. We have an invocation by Alex Schimek from Maranatha Bible Camp. Alex, if you'd approach the microphone for us, please.
Oh, holy God, we come to you this evening, and we thank you for the ability to serve our community in such a capacity as this. Lord, I pray for wisdom, for strength, and for love for all people who sit on this board. Lord, that they would encapsulate what you taught us, to love each other well, and to put our neighbors first. Pray this all in your holy and amazing name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Angie, the roll call, please.
Here.
Guy,
Here.
Cole,
Here.
Lucas,
Here.
Garrett,
Here.
Flanders,
Here.
Baker,
Here.
Here. Thank you. A current copy of the Open Meetings Act of the State of Nebraska is posted on the wall at the back of the council chambers. Meeting procedure: the public may address specific agenda items at the pleasure of the mayor. If recognized by the mayor, please identify yourself by stating your name and address. Please address the council through the mayor and limit your remarks. We respect our city employees and request that any complaints or criticisms of the employees not be aired in a public meeting. Concerns about employees should be brought to the attention of the city administrator or the mayor. The individual in violation will be declared out of order. In the awards and accolades and presentations section tonight, we have the great honor to swear in not only some policemen, but also a fireman. And there was a significant debate today about which group should go first. And we decided on letting the firemen go first. So, Mr. Tripp, if you would come up here to the front, please. And I have to get my technology going here. Excuse me just a moment. But come right up here in front. And turn around face the audience. Kevin's supposed to tell me if this is not working, so I guess we're gonna be okay. Okay, this is a little bit long, so that's your copy. I'm gonna try and stand over here out of the way of the camera. Okay, so you're reading to them, not me, all right? Levi Tripp. Please hold your right hand. I, say your name,
I, Levi Tripp,
do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties and responsibilities of a firefighter for the city of North Platte, Nebraska to the best of my ability.
do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties and responsibilities of a firefighter for the city of North Platte, Nebraska to the best of my ability.
I pledge to serve the people of North Platte with honor, courage, and integrity, placing the safety and well-being of the community above all else.
pledge to serve the people of North Platte with honor, courage, and integrity, placing the safety and well-being of the community above all else.
I will perform my duties with dedication, respect, and a steadfast commitment to upholding the laws and regulations governing the fire service.
I'll perform my duties with dedication, respect, and a steadfast commitment to upholding the laws and regulations governing the fire service.
I will respond to emergencies, both fire and medical, with a clear mind and a steady hand, working as part of a team to protect lives, property, and the environment.
I'll respond to emergencies, both fire and medical, with a clear mind and a steady hand, working as part of a team to protect lives, property, and the environment.
I will strive to continually improve my skills and knowledge and to act with compassion and professionalism in all circumstances.
I will strive to continually improve my skills and knowledge and to act with compassion and professionalism in all circumstances.
I will be a guardian of public trust, holding myself to the highest standards of ethical conduct and accountability, and I will honor the legacy of those who have served before me, passing on the values of service, sacrifice, and respect to those who come after. So help me God.
I will be a guardian of the public trust, holding myself to the highest standards of ethical conduct and accountability, and will honor the legacy of those who have served before me, passing on the values of service, sacrifice, and respect to those who come after me. So help me God.
Thank you. Congratulations, Levi. Good job.
Usually will stay standing.
Well, I really hope there's not a bank robbery in North Platte tonight. All right, come on up, policemen, please. You guys are line up facing the audience this way, please. This one is a little shorter. You guys probably got nervous during that last one.
Yeah,
Okay, there you
a
go.
lot of syllables.
Todd, I have a sheet of paper for you. Hold on. Oh, that's good. Okay. So while they're doing that, officers Kyle Norman, Preston Beller, Isaiah Estrada, and Caleb Baumberger graduated on December 18th with the 221st Basic Training Class at the Nebraska Law Enforcement Training Center in Grand Island. The officers successfully completed 16 weeks of training and received their Nebraska Law Enforcement certification. For the next 14 weeks, they will complete the North Platte Police Department field training program prior to being assigned to a shift. So you'll be seeing them with somebody else for the next 14 weeks. After that, look out. Just kidding. Okay. Thank you guys for being here. Ready? Please raise your right hands. Thank you for holding the mic there. I state your name.
I, Kyle Norman,
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and the laws of the state of Nebraska.
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and the laws of the state of Nebraska.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and defend them against enemies foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and defend them against enemies foreign and domestic.
And that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of a peace officer to the best of my ability, so help me God.
And that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of a peace officer to the best of my abilities, so help me God.
Excellent. Congratulations, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Anybody get a picture that wants a picture before we let him go?
I didn't
All
have
right.
you in it.
Thank you, gentlemen. Yeah, I grew up with a picture. Congratulations, guys. Thank you.
I wonder if that gets- Yeah. And then there.
It's always a great honor to get to swear in policemen and firemen.
Yes.
Yeah. Deal. Okay. All matters under the consent agenda are considered by the city council to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. Any city council member may, however, remove an item from consent by request. I'm going to read all these, as there are several, and then Lane has a couple of quick comments before anybody makes a motion. So please just pause for a second, let Lane state his comments. Thank you. 1A, approve the minutes from December 16th, 2025. B, send the application of Ronald Axtell as liquor license manager to Fraternal Order of Eagles, number 2839, located at 620 North Chestnut Street to the to the Liquor Control Commission with no recommendation. C, approve the application by Aiden Enterprises LLC, DBA Sutherland Longhorn Bar for a special designated license on March 20, 2026, from 4 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. at the D&N Event Center, 501 East Walker Road for the Ducks Unlimited banquet. D, appoint Brent R. Burklund of TC Engineering as the city street superintendent from January 1, 26 through December 31, 2026. Approve the resolution to, E, approve the resolution to apply for the purchase of a small bus for the North Platte Public Transit with 80% funded through Federal Transportation Assistance Program, 10% funded through the State Transportation Assistance Program, and 10% funded through the City of North Platte funds. F, approve the purchase of 2 semi-trailers for the Sanitation Department from Mac Waste Trailer, Inc. using Sourcewell contract pricing in the amount of $264,414 and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents. G, accept bids and award contract for 2026 3/4 ton 4x4 crew cab diesel pickup for the electric department from Pony Express Chevrolet in Gothenburg, Nebraska, in the amount of $66,542, and authorize the mayor to sign all necessary documents for the city. H, accept bids and award contract for 2026 3/4 ton 4x4 regular cab pickup for the electric department from Cowboy Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Cheyenne, Wyoming, in the amount of $39,241, and authorize the mayor to sign all documents for the city. I, accept bids and award contract for 2025 Nissan light duty pickup for the water department from Bill Summers Ford in the amount of $34,694, and authorize the mayor to sign all documents for the city. J, accept bids and award contract for 2026 1-ton 4x4 crew cab gasoline long bed pickups for the water department from Pony Express Chevrolet in Gothenburg, Nebraska, in the amount of $125,620, and authorize the mayor to sign all documents for the city. K, accept bids and award contract for 2026 Chevrolet 1-ton 4x4 double cab gas pickup for the wastewater department from Pony Express Chevrolet in Gothenburg, Nebraska, in the amount of $47,160, and authorize the mayor to sign all documents for the city. Lane.
I'd just like to clarify on these vehicles, we did go to the bid process and receive bids from 5 different vendors. And after going through each one, these were the best prices on each of the different vehicles that we bid out. And the differences to the next ones up were fairly substantial. That's why we went with the lowest vehicles all the way around. As far as those sanitation trailers, there's only a couple manufacturers that make those. And so even though that's a vendor out of Ohio, that's about as close as we can get to have the same trailers as we have currently. So I just wanted to clarify that all the specifications were followed and that we went to the bid process for these items.
Thank you. No, we got that clarified. Ed?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented with the exception of letter E and letters J and letter K.
Second.
Motion by Raker, second by Vols to approve the consent agenda, pulling E, J, and K. Calling the question. So approved. Ed?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Letter E, I just wanted to vote separately on that. Letters J and K, I'm curious. Under J, we've got 2 1-ton pickups for $125,000, roughly $62,500 per pickup. And under letter K, we've got one 1-ton pickup 4x4 for $47,000. I'm wondering why there's so much discrepancy between those.
The differences are the boxes that we have on them. We have the utility boxes on two of those, and then the lift gates on the back of them. So it's about 15,000 a piece on those difference.
I wondered, I thought that may be the difference. Okay, thank you so much. Those were my questions.
Nick?
Thank you. Are we trading trucks in, or what are we doing with the old vehicles?
Most times on the old vehicles, those get passed down to our street and parks and other departments.
Okay.
And so we found that, the trade-in value isn't as great as if we would just keep those and use those in other departments that maybe don't have the same strenuous as these departments have on them after they've kind of greased into their life. So
Yeah.
it's a good pass down for the taxpayers on that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I just wasn't sure if these prices included trade-ins or not. Okay.
Ed?
Lane, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Eventually we get the ones that you pass down and a pass down and a pass down, you come to the end. What happens to them?
We put those on for auction on our public surplus site, and normally get fairly decent prices out of those.
Okay.
So.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Aye.
were all of these items planned for in the budgeting process, or are any of them the result of something unexpected that's occurred?
No, they were all budgeted items, so we have cash for the ones at the utilities departments, and the trailers for the sanitation department will be a later date for a lease purchase agreement.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Ed, do you want to do each one of these separately, or what? You said you wanted to vote on E separately,
I
so
wanted to vote on E separately. Mr. Mayor, I move that we vote on letter E on the consent agenda, please.
Second.
motion by Reeker, second by Lucas on letter E. Calling the question on letter E. Letter E is approved.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we vote on the remainder of the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Reeker, second by Flanders. Calling the question on letters J and K from the consent agenda. These are approved. Okay. Moving on to the regular agenda. Number 2, authorize mayor to sign agreement with Oak Creek Engineering to perform the required bridge inspections for the city of North Platte.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we,
Number 2.
I can do it.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I move to authorize mayor to sign agreement with Oak Creek Engineering to perform the required bridge inspections for the city of North Platte.
Second.
Motion by Lucas, second by Vol. Where's Brent? Brent, you want to give us 30 seconds on what we're doing here? And then answer any questions, please.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. We've had Oak Creek Engineering do our bridge inspections for the last several years. This is an update on NDOT had some requirement on their paperwork side. It takes about another half hour bridge to do. So this contract is slightly updated in cost. It's not a significant jump, but it reflects that extra half hour bridge cost. That's what we get.
And the other day you explained to me the frequency with which we check our bridges. Would you talk about that for a second?
Generally, we do most.
Thank you. We do most of them every other year. Buffalo, we have on a 4-year because it's a newer bridge. Based on the inspections, it affects the inspection if we do them annually, biannually, or every 4 years. So,
Questions for Brent? Ed?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Brent, does this include the bridges on Rodeo Road also? There's, I think, one there by the school, that's a Baptist school there.
no, it's only the city-owned ones, not on the state system.
Okay.
So Rodeo Road, you mean Highway 30?
Right.
That would be NDOT's bridge.
And then a question that, I don't know whether it pertains to this particularly or not, to the last assessment, but on Willow, it seems like we just did some work on that, correct?
Correct.
I don't know what they're called, the
Expansion joints?
tapered end on the bridge railing. The concrete tapered end on the bridge railing.
On the north end or the south
North
end?
end.
Okay.
We've got a pretty substantial piece of that concrete that's gone. And I'm
Oh, yes.
wondering why that didn't get repaired.
We talked about, we looked at a couple different things with that as far as how it's going to be repaired and if it would stay. I mean, to fix it right, we'd almost have to cut the whole thing off and rebuild it. And we didn't feel like it, because if we did a patch on that, I don't know if it'd stick very long. So that was the discussion,
Okay.
that we didn't feel like it was a structural concern with the bridge. It would still function for the traffic. And to fix it was going to be really expensive and we wouldn't get much benefit out of it. So that was the thought process.
Okay. No, that makes perfect sense to me. Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Seeing none, calling the question on item number 2, please. Item number 2 is passed. Thanks, Brent. Item number 3, adopt the resolution to approve the, Brent's back. Adopt the resolution to approve the 1 and 6 road plan for 2025 through 2031.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt the resolution to approve the 1 and 6 year road plan for 2025 through 2031.
Second.
Motion by Bowles, second by Reeker. Brent, you have the floor.
Angie, would you be able to switch me over? Thanks. It's on the dual screen. Why is it on that? Showing the second screen. Yep. Why was that way? Try again. Okay, it's a little hard to read on the screen and hopefully the folks at home can see it. Okay, and if not, you can contact our office and we'll get you a copy you can look at. I'll kind of do a high-level summary, a little bit of what we had presented at the public hearing back in December. What you have before you is what we call the 1 year, which what we're looking at a year ahead and a year behind. The year ahead is the plan, which is shown in red. And the way the computer works, I'll just scroll from top to bottom. It seems like it would be the best way to work. So as we focus on the top, and I also have it over here in the audience you can look at the bigger size. It's about the same size as the screen, so it's be comparable. But you can see the whole thing in one shot. What we have at the top, starting in the northwest part of town, we have Mulligan Meadows. It's a private development. The yellow showing the streets that were completed in 25, and then in 26 we have what's showing being proposed in red. So in 25 we have this year we have Washington that's basically completed. There's a little bit of tie-in work, and then Curtis is the next street, and 15th Street and a portion of 17th Street. So it makes the C portion. That's again the Mulligan Meadows project by Devco. Over to the left in yellow was completed. That's the Community Development Block Grant project. We did some concrete paving over there. I believe is around 4 blocks that we got completed over there, filled in some intersections. So that's a nice stretch that was finished over there. 9th Street, we're substantially done. It's usable. We have some sidewalk and some radiuses that need to be finished as soon as some of the utilities are out of the way. We'll get that finished up this year. And as we keep going down on the left side, what we have shown in yellow is Preston and Dixie. The north-south portions, that's a private developer project. What we have shown on the next year is Preston, and that's going to be a little bit development driven based on how the market absorbs some of the houses and how they move on. But so the hope would be they get that next portion going this coming year. And as we continue moving towards the south and the east, that's where we have a lot of the red and the yellow going on right now. Two big projects. In the middle, you can see Dewey. That's under design right now with NDOT. I believe they have that scheduled for 27 construction, so 27, 28. They're going to be bidding it probably this fall season, so it'll be coming here soon. So we get the one way. We're just getting comfortable with it being normal. We're going to get back to a 2-year construction going from Leota, south of Leota, all the way up to First Street. So that'll be coming up sooner than we realize. But we have it for design, and next year, the following year, it'll be under construction. The other part we have in red over on the east is Newberry. It's design only right now. NDOT, they've had their public input meeting this fall on that. They're continuing on the design with that. And right now the plan is it'd be bid in 28 for construction in 29 and 30, which those dates seem a long ways ahead, but that's only 2-3 years. So to me, it seems further out. Still staying in that same area on Golden Road shown in yellow. That was completed this spring, the last portion of that in front of Sustainable Beef. And then we have the big section kind of in the right middle of the screen. The big portion running east and west is shown as Francis. What we got completed this fall was basically from the current east end of the paving. It goes east all the way over to Devco, which is a right of way, but there's no street there. It's about 3,800 feet. All of the mainline street paving is in. Some of the sidewalk is in. And that's going to get finished in the spring. Also, we have shown McCabe that's running north and south. That's all graded. That's a private developer street. They're looking at putting that in first thing in the spring. Same thing with that curled shape. It looks a little more like a P, Western Avenue. That's looking at this spring completion as well. And then we have 2 portions that are coming on the agenda later, going from Devco all the way east to Newberry. That's the remainder of Francis, which is around 6,000 feet. So that's what we have shown on this. Oh, and I forgot Bryan. We have Bryan that's shown in yellow. It's a little small piece going north and south. It's going from just south of the Lutheran Family Services area down to the new Thrive connection area. That piece in yellow was finished up this fall. So that's what we have on the 1-year plan. And so there's a lot going on in what we've done in the last year and then what we're looking at in the next year. And then I'll be a little bit briefer on the, let's see if I can. This is the 2 through 6 year plan. It just means a longer term. Several of these we've carried for multiple years from a planning and to have on people's radar things that we'd like to do in the future. Some of it's funding, some of it is right away. There's other different things that kind of push things out in the longer term. But 2 things I would like to highlight more on is there's a hatched area on the screen. It's on towards the northwest side, and we have it labeled Northwest CDBG area. And then there's another hatched area kind of towards the east of that, and we have that called as Northeast CDBG area. One thing that we've been looking at is community development block grant funding has recently, it kind of goes back and forth between you can do streets, they can't do streets, you can do streets. We're in the current phase that they're allowing us to apply for streets. And we're looking at those two areas, that we have some gravel areas that meet the income requirements of the community, that we're looking at generically areas that we could try to do more street paving, converting from gravel to concrete with the block grant funds. So that's something that's a change from last year based on the current funding availability. But like I said, many of the other items were more of a holdover, things that we have for long-term planning, things like that. I think it was last year we added East Francis as probably, but yeah, it was last year's 1 and 6. We had hopes of East Francis going through, and with everything that happened, it's now moved from the 6-year to the 1 year, which is exciting for the community to have that whole area opened up with street infrastructure. So I kind of went fast, went through a whole lot of information, and if anybody has any questions or comments, this is our community's plan.
Mr. Mayor?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I think these are very well thought out, and I appreciate them. I know this is a shade off topic, but I just want to bring it up. It does seem like there's more pedestrian and business activity going on right at it'd be the south side of the Jeffers Street Viaduct. I know there was a bad accident there last year as well. And I think since we did our traffic safety study, there's been more evolution of business activity there. I know like North 40's using their big room more. There's more going on at Parkade Plaza. And so again, it's a shade off topic, but I would just encourage you guys to keep looking at that area below the bridge there from a safety standpoint.
Okay. Thanks. Other questions or comments? Brad?
Oh, on East Sixth, we just recently annexed all that land, and we talked about adding that to the 1 and 6 plan. What are your thoughts? I noticed they're not on here.
There's a little bit of on maintenance, where we put it as a project or where we put it as maintenance. From what we've shot for information on that, to me, at this point, with what we're looking at, would be more of a maintenance item, that when you look at some of the scope that we have, we'd have other areas that I would probably put similar, but so that was just kind of a decision not to show it on here, because we'd have it'd make it a lot more cluttered, but it doesn't mean that it's not on the radar to do. It's just not shown on here for clarity.
Page 34, we got a 2026 maintenance plan. Is that the same maintenance plan you're talking about, or is this?
The maintenance plan would be more of an asphalt overlay, correct? And that's what we have on the radar, is looking at some asphalt overlays. It's going to be dependent on funding, but whether it's this year or next year, that's just the urgent ones that we're seeing needing looked at sooner than later.
Thank you.
Ed?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Brent, a couple things. What's the plans for 14th Street? There's some sections of that street that are getting pretty bad along the edges. Are we going to be putting some overlay on that, or?
You're looking west 14th or east, where you?
I'm sorry, West 14th
Okay.
Street.
Because I think east is gravel, if I remember correctly. We have some areas over there, but I don't know if we have that on the asphalt overlay. We'll take a look at it and see if we need to put it on our current maintenance.
Okay.
So yeah, we can do that.
It's not as bad as 9th Street was, but it's getting there.
We can mention the street department and see what we can do either for maintenance, or if we need to go to putting it on the overlay portion.
The other question I have is on East Francis. Did they go ahead and put in the storm sewers when they laid the asphalt road or the concrete road?
Yes.
Oh, they did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent.
And there's a storm detention all the way at the east end, but yeah, it's all in.
Wonderful. Now, if we could just fill it up.
The contractors are enjoying the dry weather, getting stuff done. So
Go ahead, Nick.
Thank you. On Rodeo Road, Brent, why does it stop 2 blocks west of 83? Is there any particular reason why? If I'm looking at it correctly, I'm trying to look as best I can, but the reason I was...
with the orange, with the overlay portion,
Yeah,
because I think it's concrete
okay,
stretch.
Okay.
From 83 to Willow, that's concrete.
okay. The reason I was asking is, has that intersection on the east side of 83 on 12th Street, has anybody Has that been brought up to you guys at all? That intersection there?
On 83 and.
Well, it'd be 83 and
12th
12th Street, yeah. So when you're westbound, coming in to town, you stop at that stoplight, and if you don't stop in the right spot, it's a pretty big drop down in that intersection. So I didn't know if that was on anybody's radar or anything like that, or why it stopped a little bit. And is that the city's
That's the
responsibility
state.
or the state's?
Yeah,
Okay,
the 12th Street going east is Highway 30,
okay,
and 83 is, Highway 83. So those are both on state network, but those are things we can bring to their attention.
so that whole intersection would be state's responsibility?
That's right,
Okay,
including the traffic light. That's
Yeah.
all of theirs.
okay.
Yes.
And then on the downtown area, how long ago was that when that was redone? All those
Which portion?
6 years ago? Okay. What?
2020 was when we did the Dewey portion.
Okay.
We did Dewey, 6th Street, and a portion of 5th Street. That was 2020. And then there was a portion of 5th Street south of the Pawnee. That was done before that. Yeah.
Okay.
So we have shown some of the additional downtown
Yeah.
to get finished.
Do we have, I mean, it's just on the radar right now, but is there specific plans on what they want to do downtown or what the city wants to do?
Which area or?
Well, it's just all checkered, so I just didn't know if it was going to just be certain areas or if it was going to be all of downtown.
It kind of gets into areas a little bit. Like if you go east, Lane and I've talked about the areas that are brick. Long-term, we'd like to, redo the brick similar to what we had prior, like south of Dewey, south of 4th Street, that area by Wells Fargo. There's that stretch in there. We'd like to redo that. That's in that shaded area.
Okay.
And then over east on Bailey, that's similar. We have some thoughts of looking at some sidewalk over in that area or some concrete. And then also, if we can, there's some areas that we'd like to evaluate the storm drain system, that if we can make it better. We've looked at some things like from the east side of Pawnee up 5th Street, things like that, seeing how it's functioning. So as we've been, like when we redid the Dewey 5th, 6th Street portion, we upgraded the storm sewer through there to get it through that area past, it goes on the east side of Parkade Plaza up to the railroad, to get it out of the downtown area quicker.
Okay.
So, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
We have
for the
some
most part.
generic ideas, we have ideas based on different sections.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, it's just going to be depending on what needs attention.
And some of it is we had CDBG funds for the last time, and if we could do that again, that would be another opportunity that we could look at as well.
How does that work in partnership of businesses? Because it has to meet income requirements. So how does that work, residential versus commercial?
That might be a Judy question. Sorry, Judy, dragging you in.
Mayor and council. It really kind of depends on what programs that they have available, but it's all based off of low to moderate income or blight and substandard. So sometimes you can apply for grants based essentially off of blight and substandard. You get higher points when you're applying for those grants if you can indicate low to moderate income. So the thing that helps in the downtown are apartments that have been above. Some of those types of things can help with the income. But I do believe when that was done initially, it was based off of blight and substandard designation.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Other questions or comments? Seeing none, calling the question on item number 3, please. Oh, Angie, can you switch it back? It's thinking about it. There we go.
That's weird.
She must have clicked it over before you voted. That's probably what happened. So, okay. Well, anyway, this item passes. Okay. Item number 4, more streets. Third reading and action to adopt ordinance number 4205 to create paving extension district number 840 on proposed Francis Street from Devco Avenue to Bicentennial Avenue. Lane, the ordinance, please.
Ordinance number 4205. An ordinance for the creation of paving district number 840 on proposed Francis Street from Devco Avenue to Bicentennial Avenue in the city of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, and ordering the construction of street improvements therein.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt ordinance number 4205 to create paving extension district number 840 on proposed Francis Street from Devco Avenue to Bicentennial Avenue on third reading. Second.
Ed, was that you on the second?
Yes.
Okay. Motion by Flanders, second by Reeker on item number 4. I just handed out to the council, you may remember this map from earlier this year in May when we were considering this. This particular area that we're talking about is what's described as C district. So it's got the 840 on it. So it's roughly the area that we would know to be south of the industrial park and the post office in that area. That's the area that we're talking about right now. So just wanted to offer that for clarity. Brent, do you have anything to add at this point?
Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
Will Industrial and Prospect connect with that street when it goes through there, or will they not?
I believe the engineer will answer your question in just a moment.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
No worries. Okay.
Well, this is the third reading. We did the first 2 readings early summer, and then we had it tabled with some details and different things. But what this will do is take Francis from where, if you physically go out there now, you can see where it ends. It'll go from there to Bicentennial. So it's basically, the west ends, there's a little bit of curve, but it's basically the straight east and west portion. And it will connect to Prospect and to Industrial. And we'll also have it set up to connect to Bicentennial at some point in the future. We have right of way there, so that will be set up for that as well. And so it's the paving and the storm drainage. There's a storm sewer running parallel to that, so we will have inlets that will connect to that storm sewer system that's already in place.
Questions? Rod, anything else?
So that means that, because when it rains a lot, Industrial and that floods down at the end of that block by the post office, that drainage will help clear that out, or not?
Yeah, it should. Some of that where it floods, there's just inlets right at the very end. And it's somewhat, you get stuff, debris. There's probably some maintenance things. The other thing is having those open north and south will help that south end drain better. So.
Okay. Other questions? Brad?
What's the funding mechanism for this?
This, it'd be bond and the payment with the redevelopment agreement. It'll be assigned to the developer per the redevelopment agreement. And I believe what was being talked about was a 10-year with the 2% above whatever bond is acquired. You know, at the time the bond is acquired, it'd be plus 2%. So it'd be 10-year and 2% above the city's bond cost.
Aye.
I know I already asked you this question once today, but I think it'd be good to go through it with the council. And so the current, I know we'll address this later, but the current plan is that the assessments will fit a certain portion of the property south of this segment of road, correct? Is that roughly 15 or 20 acres in the current
Correct.
concept? Okay.
It gets kind of, and some of this is, I think, why it was tabled prior, was to get some of these details worked out. There's a purchase agreement for the city property south of Francis that will be a subdividing this property. And what they're proposing is kind of an L-shaped, it would be a strip along the south side. It's roughly 400 feet, about a city block. So from a cost side, a lot of times, if you're assessing, half a block each side. This would be somewhat comparable to that. That'd be assessed only to the south side, which would be owned by the developer. So from a bank finance side, that cost would be assigned to that parcel of property that's abutting the street.
Mr. Mayor, just to add a comment on that. I think it's good that we recognize of the areas, of all the areas proposed, that segment probably presents the city the most risk of having a potential upside down assessment situation, because if you take the total assessment dollars and you compare them to the acreage. But with that said, I mean, I'm completely on board with this because it's really backbone infrastructure that we've done in other places, and all of the property south of the assessment area is city-owned property, as I recall, right? Correct? Part of that 66-acre parcel. And so I think it's good for us to understand that there is a little bit of risk with that many dollars being assessed to that small of acreage, because, you know, if those assessments don't get paid, there's going to be less property that the city would get back to deal with the payment of the bonds on. But I think as part of the overall picture, in my opinion, it still fits the overall plan really well.
Go ahead, Brad.
So just to clarify from my own understanding, because I'm not an expert in this area. When you say that the funding mechanism will be assessed, that it'll be bonded and it'll be assessed back to the developer, do they then pass those costs on? Because when we were going through our TIF process, part of the agreement was that the TIF would go towards the road all the way out to Newberry access. How does that function? Is that in the redevelopment plan, or where does that lie?
It is described in the redevelopment plan, the cost. They have all the costs of like infrastructure, and they have eligible costs. So the Francis Street would be a TIF eligible cost.
Is their plan ultimately for this to come out of the TIF portion?
I believe so. The only thing it gets into timing that, yeah, I don't know their finances behind the scene, how that's actually going to play out. That whether they have enough TIF at the time the bills are due is another question. It gets into the build out and how fast everything develops. So,
Thank you.
I think might be relevant to have the city attorney kind of read the part of the redevelopment plan that addresses that area.
Yeah, we anticipated this would come up. So,
Appreciate that.
so as Brent was saying, I mean, where it gets a little bit complicated is we're talking about how shortly in the future we plan to assess the abutting property owners for some of the costs of the improvement district. But as Brent said, that property owner is intended to be the developer, who is also obligated contractually under their redevelopment plan and redevelopment agreement to pay those costs. And so what we've been working through on the backside of this is just how to make sure that all of that plays out and works together. And so to the mayor's point, the redeveloper's obligation to pay for this portion of Francis Street is specifically laid out under phase 2 of their redevelopment plan. And so from my perspective, they are contractually obligated to put it in. And then what we're talking about with the improvement district, I wouldn't say it necessarily modifies it, it just changes some of the financing structure of it a little bit, in terms of the city bonding it out and issuing some bonds to pay for it and then getting it repaid on the back end of it. And is that what you're looking for?
Okay. Because my concern is if in the original TIF agreement, they agreed to put the road in. So essentially the people in that area are, through their property taxes, pay that TIF bond off. So they're being taxed one way. If somehow this gets assessed back to the property owners, or the property owners, you know, in the future have to sell this off, you're double taxing your citizens, and that's not a proper thing to be doing. So I just want to make sure that this either comes out of the TIF or the developer pays for it in some way. And that sounds like what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying.
Fair enough.
If I'm understanding correctly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're not double taxing anybody, because that's a concern.
Go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, Brad, I'll just add a little color from my view on that. So in the assessment district world, I don't want anybody to be rattled later. If they would sell a lot, like say a lot had $100,000 assessment on it, they might sell a lot for $200,000 and say, okay, we're going to pay the assessment. Or they might sell a lot for $100,000 and say, you pay the assessment. It's a little bit of a wash. If I know, like in my job, if we're doing collateral analysis or you're reading appraisals, that type of thing, assessments get kind of baked into the formula typically. There's a little bit of theory out there that because if they create a friendly financing mechanism, a buyer might hang on to them, pay out the assessment over time, and get the advantage of that financing, and so maybe they can get a little better deal on a lot. So it's not like a perfect 1 + 1 = 2 all the time, but buyers should have their eyes open because like a title insurance commitment would show the assessment dollars in it and show it as a lien on the property. And so you shouldn't have a case unless a buyer didn't do due diligence of them buying a lot and thinking an assessment was paid and then getting stuck with it. But not to say it couldn't happen, but it'd take somebody pretty asleep with typical due diligence on it. That makes sense.
You are saying that potentially these lots could be sold off and the assessment goes with it?
I think absolutely that could happen. Is that correct, Bill?
It could, but I mean, again, the challenge I think with this particular stretch of Francis is that you have to look at there's a lot of different parts that factor into this. And so one of those is the redevelopment plan, which lays out about, in addition to extending Prospect Drive to the south, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of on the far west side of Fifth Road. There are several roads that go through this. So their planned development includes streets that they're planning to put in that would run north and south. And so my point, I guess, what I'm trying to get across is they're not just going to take that strip of land along newly created Francis and just divide that into lots. Because if they did, they wouldn't be following their redevelopment plan. And so they still have to follow their plan and move along in their phasing and put in roads north and south that divide up a big stretch of that city-owned land there.
But there's nothing contractually obligating them to not pass that cost off to the potential buyer of the lots.
I'm not entirely sure how to answer because I think practically speaking, if they're a long ways off from being able to subdivide anything, in my opinion, because of their obligation contractually under the redevelopment contract and the redevelopment plan to put in the roads that run north and south through there.
Right, but there's nothing explicitly stating that they can't pass those to the buyer.
Right.
So I'm failing to see how that's not double taxation because that they're getting the TIF money and they can pass the cost of the road off on there. And to me, that seems like we're hitting them both ways. And I understand your point, Ty, that it does make the lots not as, equitable. I get what you're saying, but that would be the same argument to say sales tax. There's a reason why you don't put sales tax on the marketed price because you're psychologically speaking, your brain thinks of it in a different way, and you can see how they'd be comparable in that way. So I see where you're coming from, but I disagree with you.
Well, no, and to clear, see, Mayor, if I can respond to that, I agree with that. And that's why assessments get used. So like, for example, in a big development project, it's not uncommon if a sub-developer or somebody who wants to do, say somebody want to do a strip mall and they want to buy and they need 6 acres of land or something. I mean, to see them buy property with the assessments are not that uncommon because it in essence lowers their purchase price of the lots, and they can use the assessment-based financing that's in place, and it lowers their capital needs. So it won't shock me at all if we see property get sold subject to some assessments. I mean, it's hard to project, like Bill said, all the subdivisions in that. But I don't think we should think they're prevented from doing that but in theory they should get less out of the property. So
in theory, but it's similar to the sales tax thing I talked about. It's just thought about differently in your brain.
Yeah.
So they're paying if they sell the assessment, they're paying through the assessment and they're paying through their property taxes for the TIF bond. So they're paying for this road twice. And I don't agree with how that's logically laid out. If there was some way contractually that required them, either we lower their TIF ask or something along those lines. I think we're doing our citizens a disservice by structuring it this way.
When a piece of property that is under an active TIF bond is sold, so the property taxes become the responsibility of the buyer once the sale completes. The revenue for the TIF from that piece of property that would go to pay off the TIF bond has to be resolved in the agreement sale, right?
It just, the revenue still flows to the holder of the TIF note.
Right, to the holder of the TIF bond, paid by the purchaser of the new property.
Sure. And I think partly to Brad's point, I'm trying to kind of think through I might be off base on this, but I think partly what Brad is saying, I don't know if it's entirely true, because I don't know if it's getting hit with the cost twice, because the redeveloper, they cannot use, unless they pay for the expense, they can't use it as an eligible TIF cost. So, yeah, so what I'm saying is they may have originally said, we're going to have $12 million in paving expenses as part of our eligible TIF expenses. What we're proposing here with these districts is going to lower that, because they're ultimately not paying those immediately out of pocket, because they're being financed through the improvement district. They're paying for them then more over time. If they wanted to pay for them directly out of pocket, I'd probably have to ask Mike Bacon exactly what that would look like. But it is changing that slightly, because yes, they would not be able, in my opinion, they would not be able to use the paving expense then as an eligible TIF cost. But the way that the redevelopment contracts are generally put together is that there can be, with those eligible TIF expenses, which are all laid out by statute, they can be kind of reallocated. So rather than saying that they're, paying 12 million in paving expenses, they might say it ends up being 10, and this other 2 million we're reallocating to a different eligible TIF expense.
So that wasn't the original agreement that we came through on this council. The agreement was that they were going to pay for the road. So now you're changing the agreement after the fact, and you're sticking it to the end buyer. Money is fungible, so if you remove an expense here, they can put it over here, and that's more money in their pocket is what it essentially is going to do. I still see it as apples to apples. You're having an end user and a buyer pay for this twice, whether it's they change the name of the TIF eligible expense or not. So I disagree. I think we're doing our citizens a disservice on this one.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
Brad, you are right that we should be looking at this very carefully, but I would tell you what changed, or what gets me comfortable with this. The first domino in this was the grant money that created the connection basically to get this all the way to Newberry. So the next piece, the 841 piece. And so with that, this became the island portion of the road that was needed for the connection. And so I think what the developers asked the city to do, the way I see it, is they said, okay, we're asking you for a change. You're gonna get the connection to Newberry faster than you were gonna get otherwise, because of the grant work that the city did and whatever agreements they have with those landowners. But now we're asking for your help to provide interim financing on that portion, using your powers of bonding, lower rates, putting it on the assessment, not on the developer, that type of thing. So it absolutely was a change from the original plan. But I think we don't want to forget that the first domino in that change was the ability to connect to Newberry in a faster pace. And so, but it's absolutely a change. You're right.
It is a change, and it's a change to the tune of millions of dollars more in the pocket of the developer.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Ed.
I would like to table this until I can get a better grasp of what's being discussed.
Second.
Item number 4, we have a motion to table by Reeker, second by McNew. Calling the question on the table. Okay, the item is tabled to the next meeting. Item number 5, third reading and action to adopt ordinance number 4206 to create paving extension district number 841 on proposed Francis Street from Bicentennial Avenue to Newberry access.
Ordinance number 4206, an ordinance for the creation of paving district number 841 on proposed Francis Street from Bicentennial Avenue to Newberry access in the city of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, and ordering the construction of street improvement therein.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt ordinance number 4206 to create a paving extension district number 841 on proposed Francis Street from Bicentennial Avenue to Newberry access on third reading.
Second.
Motion by Vols, second by Dye. Okay, this is the item or section D in the drawing that I held up earlier, which is the piece that would run from Bicentennial Avenue to Newberry, and it would abut Golden Road. So, comments, Brad?
This would be the same discussion, same, argument we just had a second ago. So I would move to table this also.
Second.
Motion to table by Garrick, second by Lucas. Calling the question on the table. Item is tabled to the next meeting. Moving on to number 7. Consider action on an application by Premier Energy LLC. Oh, excuse me, I jumped one. I apologize. Sorry. Item number 6, third reading and action to adopt ordinance number 4242, annexing 11 government-owned parcels into the corporate limits of the city of North Platte, Nebraska, consisting of approximately 51.97 acres.
Ordinance number 4242, an ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska, to include within the corporate limits of the city of North Platte certain lands as more fully described herein, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the effective date and publication thereof.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt ordinance number 4242, annexing 11 government-owned parcels into the corporate limits of the city of North Platte, Nebraska, consisting of approximately 51.97 acres on final reading.
Second.
Motion by Reeker, second by Vols. Any discussion on item number 6? Seeing none, calling the question on item number 6, please. Item number 6 is passed. Item number 7, consider action on an application by Premier Energy LLC purchaser and J. Boyle LLC owner for a conditional use permit to allow construction of a commercial solar farm located at the intersection of Victoria Lane and East State Farm Road in an A1 transitional agricultural district.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we find the request for conditional use permit to allow a commercial solar farm located at intersection of Victoria Lane and East State Farm Road meets the minimum standards stated in the North Platte Code of Ordinance, section 156.322, and approve and grant the conditional use permit requested with the condition that all elements of the application are complied with. And I would at this point like to add 2 conditions into this so that we can have discussion on it. Condition number 1,
bring back to council for approval of agreement before construction begins a detailed permission to interconnect with NPPD and Municipal Light and Water, outlining the sub-transmission agreement with NPPD and/or Municipal Light and Water, along with entity for PPA, which stands for Power Purchasing Authority. And condition number 2, owner/operator of solar farm will review decommission plan with the City of North Platte every 5 years and make appropriate adjustments. And I do have a copy of that for Angie and anyone else that needs it. Okay? And it's based on the following factual findings. 1, the use shall conform to all applicable ordinances, laws, and regulations of any governmental jurisdiction. 2, the use shall have adequate water, sewer, and drainage facilities. 3, ingress and egress shall be so designated as to minimize traffic congestion in the public streets. Number 4, the use shall in all other respects conform to the applicable regulations of the district in which it is located. And 5, the use shall be in harmony with the character of the area and the most appropriate use of the land.
Second.
Motion by Vols, second by McNew. Okay. We have the proposed operator back here in the back of the room. Do we have any questions that we'd like him to answer?
Here you, sir.
Mr. Mayor, gentlemen of the council, Happy New Year. It's good to see you all again.
Please give us your name and address. just
Sorry.
for the record.
Jeff Cook Coyle, Premier Energy, based in Grand Island, Nebraska.
Jeff, I wanted to include the conditions in there and get your opinion on them. Let me go through some rationale of why I went here, okay? As I look at the 5 factual findings that we need to look at for a conditional use permit, I feel that this ground meets all of those factual findings. I feel the location works well in an industrial/agricultural area. It's close to electrical infrastructure. The adjoining property owner approves of this structure, this solar farm going there. And currently it's just idle ground. It has been for a really long time. Some things that you guys really bring to the mix here, we're going to get an increase up to 3.5 to 5 megs of power, which that's a desire for anyone. It can create future economic development, and it has the potential to create development that is not already existing in the town. So I feel it fits the factual findings for the solar farm to be put there. My biggest concern was obviously we talked about protect the city of North Platte financially, and it's kind of like a fear of the unknown.
Absolutely.
This is a new project for us, and we're kind of taking baby steps. So in those conditions I put that you bring back to council before construction begins, a detailed permission to interconnect. You talked about that already. I don't think that'll be a problem and then the sub-transmission agreement with NPPD and or Municipal Light and Water, along with, we just want to know who the end user is.
Sure.
Okay. Who the PPA is going to be.
Yeah.
Okay. And then with the decommissioning plan, I know you said that copper's worth an awful lot of money. I don't have a crystal ball. They could come up with a new metal next year. I don't know. But copper might get shot all to heck. So
Sure.
I would just like the city to be able to revisit that decommission plan every 5 years, just to make sure that we're still in a position that it works for us. So that's kind of why I brought them in. I'll let you talk about that and see what you think there.
I'll start with the second of the 2 conditions. I think that's an excellent idea. Absolutely, it is a fear of the unknown, and there's room with what you have there for it to go both ways. That in 5 years, everyone can be very comfortable with how it's working, and in 10 years, it's just like we'll keep it as it is. I think it's an excellent path forward for everybody to become familiar with the whole thing. On the first one, the interconnection agreement is a great thing to bring back to you and just to update the city council if there's going to be this, millions of dollars worth of infrastructure going into the city. Absolutely. You can understand why you'd have an interest in how it's all going to work. And so for that visit, would that be as an informational update? Or my only concern would be a future city council being in a position where they could then put the kibosh on the whole thing when everything is completely agreed to at that point.
If I may speak, I put in here agreement before construction begins, so it would,
Sure.
ideally, it would happen within the next 6 months, I would
Yeah,
assume.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and this council will look just like this 6 months
Okay,
from now.
fair enough, but
So-
yeah. Yeah, I still,
Unless something
it
bad
still adds
happens
an
to
element
somebody.
of risk if there's going to be a vote of some kind at that point. But we can all keep talking about that. But I personally, I think that's, both of those are excellent conditions. And that they're, at least in they're things that we would welcome. There's also a chance it won't be a power purchase agreement, that the farm will be sold to another utility or business, with a North Platte connection. Those are the two things that are both, we're both pursuing right now with ongoing conversations. Actually, both of them are, going to be talking tomorrow about the project. We'll be talking with a local business that has an interest in the project. And there's also a local utility that is in detailed discussions about it also.
Can I get a copy of that?
Yep.
Motion? Thanks, man. Appreciate you printing those out.
Yep.
Yeah, it does a great job of addressing the fear of
And I'll
the
let you-
unknown, which is the biggest thing. Sure.
Cross that.
Okay.
We'll share.
Share.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
Anybody else? Guys.
Yeah, I guess it's, in your mind, you have complete confidence that there won't be a road pole, if the city council has permission to approve and,
When you did your,
looking, at each of you, I think that's fair. Yeah, I think these are, we would have no problem with these conditions.
when you did your recap, and it was well thought out,
Yeah.
and I read through that a couple times today, you talked about a development agreement. This is
Right.
kind of in lieu of a development agreement. These are the three things that, when I polled, city electrical workers,
Mm-hmm.
and that were their concerns, so they're my concerns.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think this could be a path to go forward. I don't know how this vote will turn out at this point, but that will give you an indicator.
Yeah, excellent.
So,
Thank you, Mr. Bolts.
So Jeff, would you talk a little bit about the decommissioning portion? I'm not so worried about 30 years from now as I am a really bad hailstorm. So
Yeah.
how do you see that functioning, not only from the process, but from the financial perspective?
Sure. Well, from a really bad hailstorm perspective, the project will be insured. And, just like when your car has hail damage, it's, your car is, you get money from the insurance company and you rebuild it. And the people who own the project are counting on it performing for 30 years. So there is a difference with, with car insurance. We got a check from $6,000 from State Farm for hail damage on our car, and my son's driving a hail damaged car right now because it's tolerable. But, with this, the people who own the project are expecting it's going to perform for 30 years. And so they're going to see to it that those repairs, or 40 years, they're going to see to it that those repairs are made so that this project keeps generating energy for them and money for them, really, because all of the investment is up front. And so if, they're spending all the money and then they're getting paid back over time. And so their incentive is to keep the project moving forward.
Yeah, that makes sense. So in the event of a decommission in 30 years or 35 years, whatever the case may be, if for some reason, I think that one of the concerns that I've heard from people across the community is what happens if this venture is financially unsuccessful and we end up with a bankruptcy scenario or
Sure.
something along those
Yeah.
lines. So from the decommissioning perspective, I know there's been various discussions. So what is your proposal?
Well, let's before the decommissioning, let's back up to the financially unsuccessful. That this project is an asset, and it's an asset with a recognized, with a value, with a market value. That there's thousands of projects like this across the country, and they get sold all the time. And so if the owner of the project was to have something that, it went belly up, the project would get sold to someone that could make a profit operating it.
Okay.
And
And then as it relates to decommissioning.
And then how that relates to decommissioning at the end of its life, that's for the project to be put to another use, the solar has to be removed. And whoever owns the project is going to want something to come of it, that property that's positive. And for the not big amount of money that it costs to decommission it compared to the value of the property, it's a step which makes economic sense to them. And the worst case from the city is that if the system is inoperable for a year, it's considered litter and a nuisance. And you have regulations on the book right now about what to do about litter and nuisances that you can address. You're allowed to go on the property, you're allowed to remove it, and you can bill the owner of the property for it. So the city has that as the worst case backstop.
Okay. Pete?
And correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, but you have in here to guarantee that the project owner has the means to remove the solar energy system. Project owner shall post a $750,000 bond and/or a type of natural disaster cleanup.
Yep.
So that's in our agreement.
And
there.
it's in the agreement. That's one of
Right.
the conditions that we will have to uphold.
Exactly. So, and the only thing I want to look at is, when you said the copper is worth a lot of money. So today, pulling all that copper out of the ground is worth a lot of money. I just want to ascertain that we look at that every 5 years to make sure that that 750 is still okay and the copper in the ground is still okay. So if they leave town, we have a way to get this solar field out of there. So that was my second condition. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Is that
perfect
in
sense.
agreement? Okay.
Yeah, wholeheartedly endorse that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Nisley?
Sure, I just wanted to, as far as you're getting like hail insurance, and I think what they're concerned about too is that the hailstorm wiped the whole thing out. It's a total loss. My suggestion is it had be an endorsement on the insurance policy for the cities that have. They would have to pay the cleanup.
An additional assured.
Yeah, well, beyond it, it'd be endorsed on there as what the funds would have to be used for that.
Sure.
We don't
Well,
have that can't be done
Yeah.
because we don't have a financial stake in this. So the owner would have to, the bank is going to make sure they have insurance on the solar farm. But we couldn't
We
be,
won't have insurance, I'm talking about an endorsement on the policy. It's just like when you buy a car.
we don't have an insurable interest. We're not financing this. We're not a lien holder. We don't want it.
We do to the extent that we have a right to have the property cleaned up. I think this is done in other areas too, cleanup.
The owner of the field owns the property. We don't
I'm
have,
just saying is, but it's just like when you buy a car, you tow it, you have to pay the lien on it.
sure, but
I mean,
we're not
there's
getting,
endorsement on there that they would have to pay. the
they have a
cleanup-
fiduciary responsibility.
to pay the cleanup on the,
We don't own,
well, I don't know.
we don't
I-
own the
I-
ground. Yeah, we don't
I
own the
would
ground.
argue with you. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be able to list on as an additional insured because we don't have any
I'm not saying
ownership
that
in it.
additional insured would
Right.
be obligated to pay
it comes back to the fiduciary responsibility of the owner, that they have this project which is going to be generating, revenue that's worth that same $750,000 a year to them on their wholesale power bill. And it's a small amount of money to pay. It's a very, very wise business decision to keep the thing operating for its whole life. And the money's in the bank to decommission it at the end.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just saying, to me, like fire insurance on a building, what you don't want to have happen is the building burns down, the guy puts the insurance pump up all money and runs off.
Sure.
And I think then there's something there that was fire insurance that when the part of the deal is they have to pay the cleanup. It's part of the policy. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm going to endorse it as a order, but it's on the policy that they pay the cleanup. That's all.
Right.
They don't run off with the money.
Right.
That's it.
So is it fair to say that, the second, Brent, is it fair to say that something terrible happens 3 years in? We have the $750,000 setting there, and it could be accessed in the event that it had to be cleaned up.
That's what it's for.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a different style of insurance policy.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead,
So,
Brad.
To Jim's point, that I had not thought it through to this level that you guys are discussing. How do we guarantee that $750,000 gets to us and they don't run off? How do you do that?
It's in number 3. They talk about it in the contract, number 3. To which the City of North Platte, the project owner, and the bank shall have a deposit account control agreement. Right? I'm just reading off of here.
Yeah.
There's
So
some endorsement on there. We have rights.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And
So
The
it would,
money goes into an account that we have access to.
Yes.
Correct.
it would be similar to like an escrow situation
I
where,
knew there was a way we could do it.
where the bank would be acting as like an escrow agent, and then there would be an agreement that would specify when the funds would be paid out and who they would be paid out to, because at the end of the life cycle of the system, if the owner comes in, gets it all cleaned out, they could apply to the escrow agent or the bank to get the money back. And if it's a bond, then under a bond, then the city it would just be payable to the city under, again, the specifications that are set forth in the bond. So those would be things that, again, should this be approved, we would make sure that all of that is in there. And it, to Councilman Volz's point, it's part of their application, so it's incorporated into their conditional use permit if it's approved, and then they don't do it, then we can take steps, to remedy that or revoke the conditional use permit, whatever we would need to do at that point.
But I think Jim's point is that we need to structure it to where bad hailstorms hit, they can't take that money and run with it.
Right.
It's protected, and it somehow comes to us or comes to whoever is going to do the cleanup. So I think it's a valid point.
Do that, but I'm not the attorney.
Right.
Other questions or comments? Ed? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brad.
Pete, do you care if I ask you a couple questions on your
no,
amendment?
not at all.
Mainly number 1, bring back to council for approval before construction begins. I'm assuming that means we're going to vote on that again, correct? That's not just a...
For approval.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That was my understanding, but I wanted to make sure that's what you meant.
Yep.
Can you walk me through what power purchasing authority means? Kind of, I don't quite.
It's
understand
whoever
that.
buys the power. So I just want to know who the end user is going to be.
Gotcha.
So if it's, and the only thing that, and in all honesty and transparency, the only thing that could really kink this deal up, for lack of better terms, is, let's say, and we kind of talked about this, let's say this power goes all off to Kearney for economic development.
Right.
Well, we've got the solar farm and they're getting the use of it. I know we had a chance to get it, but, so I don't know if I'm allowed, you mentioned like another power company around this area that, would help. It would help that power company. It would help this area.
Yeah.
We just want to ascertain that it's going to help the area if we're going to have this solar farm here.
I can state that the power company we're talking to serves parts of Lincoln County.
Yes. Yeah. I know you brought them up last time, and I just don't want to say their name. So yeah. So that's who the PPA is. That seemed to be a coined term. In all
Right,
this
yeah,
stuff.
and, right, exactly, and I think if they say it's not a PPA, we're purchasing the project, you guys aren't gonna mind.
Right.
Yeah.
I wanted to
This
make it
is-
sound like
it's-
I was.
It's a structure, right, it's a
Good.
structure to get us back and to hear what it is that's being approved.
Exactly, and make sure the wheeling fee or the hookup interconnect fee and everything all makes sense to our guys and this board.
Yep.
And we don't know anything, it's those guys that,
Right.
that
Right.
we count on, so.
Yep.
So to further clarify your amendment, because it says in here, before construction begins, I'm assuming that power purchasing authority, and I agree with you, we should have some kind of say where that power goes. The agreement needs to be structured on a moving forward basis. It can't be before construction begins, we agree to something and then they can do whatever they want, because you can,
Sure.
it's a resale whole market. So would you include the wheeling fee into this power purchasing authority piece?
No, because it's in there, that's the interconnect fee, I think
Well,
it's
there's
the
a
same
difference.
terminology.
It's
And I'd have to bring our resident electrical guy up here to talk about it.
yeah. I saw Scott in the back, and then he ran off. So, do we have someone from our side that's an expert in wheeling fees? Because that's something I wanted to do. Oh,
I was trying to do this without having it.
oh yeah.
I don't know that I'm an expert, but I'm Tony with Municipal Light and Water. And so your question again, go ahead.
So, and again, this is not my area of expertise. So if I say something dumb, please correct me. The wheeling fee it's going to go across our structure over to NPPD, right? So the interconnect is the connection to NPPD, but the going across our lines is the wheeling fee.
Correct.
They're two different things,
Correct.
correct? And from what I understand, a wheeling fee is like 70 cents, or NPPD's wheeling fee is 70 cents per kilowatt hour. Now, from what I understand, that runs anywhere from 50 cents to up to $1.50 is kind of the range that those float in current prices. Right now, the wheeling fee isn't in any of this contraction. Have you read any of that?
Yep.
So how do we protect ourselves and adhere to industry norms where we are getting what we should be doing, because they're going across our lines? Can you speak to the wheeling? I was hoping Scott would stick around. That
Yeah, so I don't know exactly, like this right now is just the conditional use permit. We'd have to have a whole nother conversation on what we're going to charge to connect or to wheel that to wherever they need that to go. MPPD is probably the logical choice. And that's and if we even want to do that, if the structure, it'd have to be a study, if our infrastructure would even handle that at this point, depending on the development in that area.
Doing some math on a 5 megawatt line, 5 kilowatts an hour. I understand this is solar, so it's not running all the time. It's only running when the sun's shining. But it's upwards of $500,000 a year is potentially what that wheeling fee could be. So we're talking real money. It's not, that's what my math does.
Your envelope, you said 35,000 when we were here, just on December 2nd, and that number was much, it's
Correct. That was an example of me being very incorrect in my mathematics.
right. You were right with that number.
Both MPPD and I did some research on my own. I was off by a factor of 10. It's actually in the 350 range is what that 70 cents per see, we're nodding over here.
Yep.
So I'm just saying, I want to have all this out transparently, and I called you on that. I tried talking to you about it, but we got off on another subject. But that wheeling fee is one, going to put some pressure on you guys for sure, and two, if we don't have a wheeling fee, we're essentially subsidizing this program because we're not adhering to industry standards. So I want to have a conversation about that and how that all works.
I think they would probably have two options to connect with us at a fee or at a rate that we agreed upon, or their own transmission is what's going to probably end up happening.
So they would run their own lines and not run ours?
Correct.
Is that something we would allow?
It would again would have to be up for conversation.
Being
discussion.
in close proximity right there
Yep.
to the MPPD's distribution area right south of State Farm, it probably wouldn't be a huge cost for them to run their own line, but it'd be something we'd have to explore.
There's going to be a lot of research is going to have to be done. I mean, it's something that we have never done before.
Right.
There's going to have to be a case study on it and find out what works best for us.
My concern is if we don't charge some kind of a wheeling fee, which is industry standards, we're subsidizing this project. And I've gotten a lot of calls against this. And so we subsidize a project that the constituency is against. It's not a good thing.
There would have to be a wheeling fee.
You see what
with
I'm
the
saying?
interconnect, yes.
Yeah. So how does that go through the process with our agreements, and does this need to be put into the motion now, or is that later on? How is that structured? That might be illegal.
And if I might add, if I might interject real quick, because Tony, stay up there if you don't mind for a sec, because you and I kind of talked about
Yes.
this. So in my condition, a detailed permission to interconnect with MPPD and Municipal Light and Water, outlining the subtransmission agreement. So is that the subtransmissions, if they're hanging on our lines, that's the wheeling fee? Is that, am I inaccurate?
That would be correct, as if they're
Okay.
going to transfer it over our lines,
Yep.
correct?
So that's why I put that verbiage in there on your recommendation with NPPD and or Municipal Light and Water.
And I'm comfortable with that language.
Yeah.
I think that
Okay.
fits. And honestly, logically thinking this through, we should come up with our own wheeling fee that we add in, and we do go, every year we decide what rates we're going to charge, that kind of stuff.
So all I'm trying to do here is give them a way to go, to be perfectly honest with you, that
Right.
might be acceptable to me. I
Right.
can't speak for any of you guys. And I can't speak for Tony, but I did get my advice from Tony.
Yeah,
So-
no, I'm comfortable with this language and how you've structured it. I just want to make sure that I understood what you meant, and that we will put some kind of wheeling fee in place of that.
Mr. Mayor, go ahead, Tang. I just want to add a view I have on that is that I think what you guys have really well fleshed out is this is a very complicated project. And everybody knows we need power. We could argue all day about whether you like this technology or not. But what I keep boiling down to is this is going to take a lot of resources to do it right in a way that doesn't cost us money or give us inherent risk. And is it a high enough priority to dedicate the resources to it?
Right.
That's the question I keep asking myself in regards to this. And so I just want to, I think you're spot on with what you've added, but I think as a council, we still have to ask ourselves, is the dedication of resources our priority? Ed?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an interesting discussion. I'm not sure I understand all of it, but I know enough to be dangerous. Tony, you mentioned about investigating whether our equipment will even handle this. So let's say we get into this thing and we find out that our equipment won't handle it.
So as of right now, as of today, that line would be just fine. That services
That's
that
not a
area.
concern.
Depending on the development in that area, it may or may not at that time.
Well,
At
how
the-
does that-
at
how
the-
does that
well, if-
impact that?
Let's say that area develops fast,
Okay,
manufacturing, whatever might go in across the road,
okay.
then we've got to be able to service that, right?
That's not going to change the amount of power these people are going to put into
No,
the system.
but the infrastructure, the amount of power that the infrastructure can handle.
Oh, I understand that, but given today's model,
Given today's model,
and that's all we got to base it
Yep.
on. We can't look into the future because we're making a decision based on how much power they're going to put into our system. Will our system handle the amount of power that they want to
the
put in?
transmission lines out there are built to handle it today.
Right. Question for Mr. Coyle. So you're from eastern Colorado, you know about hail. I think our stones are a little bigger than yours.
They are.
Which means they do a little more damage.
They do.
So what happens, just as a for instance, you get totaled
Well, let the real world
That's not the end of
example.
my question.
Okay, sorry.
You get totaled. What about your end customer? He's relying on you to provide, quote, green energy, and now all of a sudden you do not have green energy to provide to him. Does that open you up then to additional liability?
It can. We haven't drafted those agreements, but like with a power purchase agreement where you're counting, a utility is counting on you delivering that energy, there are penalties for not meeting minimum deliveries.
Right.
So, and a green credits, I will see if they ask for that.
Well, I guess my thought is, depending on the whole circumstances and your insurability, could those costs be enough to shut your company down?
No, we know what those costs are. Yeah.
Okay, all right, next
And-
question.
Okay.
That sounds like a court. I'm sorry, I don't mean to.
It's awesome. Yeah.
You and I spoke about, and I think the proper term is a converter that converts the DC to
inverter.
AC.
Yes,
Inverter.
you were very close. Yes.
Okay, and it is close. Thank
Actually, and batteries have a power conversion system, a PCS. So that you might be thinking about that if you're going to go to China.
That's exactly where I'm going. And I would like to have that as part of our condition, that all of the inverter mechanisms be manufactured in the United States and sourced with U.S. guts, with U.S. components.
It's a proposed condition to the conditional use permit.
That way we can ensure ourselves to the best of our ability that China is not going to be fiddling around with our grid. That's the only way that I think we can do that. In my opinion, that's a very real concern. And so I will do that, Jim. Thank you for asking that question. So, Mr. Mayor, I would like to propose what's the word?
Amendment.
Amendment.
Third
Thank you.
condition.
Amendment to the conditions that the inverters be manufactured in the United States of America, and the internal mechanisms all be sourced from materials manufactured in the United States.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Reeker, second by Garrick. All right, wrote off on their sheet of paper then. To have the inverters sourced within the United States. And is that the sum of your?
Well, yes and no, Mr. Mayor. I mean, right now, I think it's pretty common that we may, quote, assemble something in the United States, but we source the guts from other countries. And I think it is important that we have not only assembled in the United States, but the internal components are manufactured within the United States. So the United States has complete and total control over the system.
And this is, you're speaking of the inverters.
The inverter specifically,
Manufactured and assembled within the United States.
and the components of the inverters.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not worried about the tubular aluminum or the glass or anything like that, but it's the stuff that can be electronically maneuvered that concerns me.
Is that possible?
That was gonna be my
Yeah,
next
I
question.
suggested.
That's
Mr.
okay.
Reeker
That's
that
what
we
I
do
was.
that.
I was okay.
That was the easy answer to the conversation about China, was just make it a condition.
I will chime in on this because, while electricity is not my wheelhouse, I've written software for over 20 years. It is extremely easy to hide code in there and to do different things and to put stuff that you can later download. Like that's not difficult at all. And all of this has the technology to control remotely from your phone from home, which means anybody in the world can do that also. So I actually appreciate this amendment. It's smart, to be honest, because it reduces the footprint of what is touching the grid, while the other pieces can still be outsourced if so need. So I think that's a good amendment, Ed, to be honest.
Yes, we do. Okay.
May I ask a question, Mr. Mayor? Do you imagine compliance to be by some kind of certification from them, or do you foresee some kind of inspection? Are we gonna have to hire somebody to do that inspection? Or, I mean, I'm appreciative that you guys
Excellent
have
question.
come up
Ty.
with this,
And I
with this
thought about it,
collaborative
forgot.
idea, but do you have a suggestion on that?
If I may, Mr.
Please.
Lucas?
Yeah.
That condition be added to the things you're approving in the first condition, that it become a sub participle or whatever to the first condition that Mr. Volz added.
So I don't understand.
I'm saying roll that into the first.
That's what we're.
Yes, bingo. Thank you, Mr. Isley. Yes.
But I believe what Ty's getting at is who's going to determine that these actually meet our specification? Is that right, Ty?
Yeah, I guess my question is it A, they're gonna certify it and we're gonna trust them? Is it B, that we're going to look ourselves with staff we have, or is it C, we're gonna have to spend some money to hire somebody? So that, I don't know. I mean, I'm in support of your idea here, but I don't
Oh, that's a
have
valid
expertise. I just would like the staff, if this is approved, if this all gets approved, for them to have some direction on what the expectations are.
Typically in large construction projects, there'll be a shop drawing process where components are generated, purchased, whatever. Is it the same in this process?
Yeah, that would be it'll be spec'd in the interconnection agreement.
Okay.
And so you can ask the engineer. It'll be spec'd in the interconnection agreement, so it'll be part of what comes before you actually in the existing condition. And it's something that both NPPD's engineers and also staff engineers can address. And that's my opinion. You don't have to take our word for it. We don't have to spend money on a third party.
That answers my question, if that's.
So I'll chime in on that, because it's a great question, Ty. And as we're structuring this, I think you think moving forward too, because you can't, the initial build is all up to code, and then they start swapping out different parts. You need to think moving forward how to manage that. Great question.
All right. Any other questions or comments on the proposed amendment? Seeing none, calling the question on the amendment. Amendment is added as a condition. Okay, back to the original discussion. Do we have any other questions or comments?
Mayor.
Oh, Brian, sorry. Go ahead.
So Tony, so if our lines would not, I'm going back to that, if it would not take it, they would have to get their own line. Is that correct?
If we decide that we don't want to interconnect with them, then they're going to have to find a different way to do it, depending on the findings of a study. I mean, we're going to have a study done, in my opinion. And so if for some reason we don't want that or don't want to interconnect with that, then they're going to have to find their way to get it to, I'm assuming, MPPD at that point.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I had my reservations on this, from the beginning, and from discussions with other people and everything. The conditional use, I think it meets the criteria. The land out there is ready for it. Unfortunately, it didn't develop to what it was supposed to do. And, there's ag around it, there's industrial. So I think it's a good area. I just, in my opinion, I didn't want the city owning any of it. I didn't want them to be a part of that. I don't think they should be a part of that. But I think adding these conditions from Councilman Vols and the discussion from Councilman Garrett and Reeker, it really has brought me to before this. I think we never know. It could bring in some kind of industry
to our community that loves green energy. And so, and it's happening all around the world. So I'm for it.
I will say that it's happening less. There's a lot less emphasis on green today than there was 6 months ago, a year ago, as we're moving away from that. So, but anyway, that's
Take green or not green. I don't like the terminology either way. Energy is energy, and we need energy. So we don't have any other solutions out here right now for the immediate needs. So, I know green energy versus non-green energy has turned political. So let's take politics out of this, and this allows us to get a little bit more energy that we might need around here. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah. The reality of it is eventually this will be technology where we get all of our energy from. It's just where it's going to go. There's so much energy coming from the sun every single day that it would be stupid not to do it. Just a point of clarification, and I think I know the answer to this. If we pass this today with all of these conditions, and tomorrow Jeff wakes up and he says, okay, this isn't financially viable, they can't sell the land to somebody else because all of these conditions still apply in the plan and all of that, correct? Okay, that was my assumption, so thank you.
Go ahead, Rob.
Does the conditional use go to the land or to the people that have
To the
applied
land.
for the conditional
To the
use?
land.
To the land? Okay. Well, I'm all for the green energy part as long as it doesn't cost us taxpayers any money. I'm also a little concerned that they're using our green space to make electricity and gonna ship it off to somewhere else. Gary works hard to try to get economic development going here, and if they need that, I don't want our green space to be making energy for something else. But as far as the conditional use, I don't see any problem with it. I like all the amendments that's been added to it. And I think we need to trust that they'll be a good partner to do it.
Brings up a commonly asked question. So, Jeff, let's say that Gary successfully recruits a business here in a couple of years, and they would like to have some of your green energy. Would there be any possibility that you would be able to sell them something at some point in the future?
You would have to talk to the owner of the project, and it's, the most likely owner for the project is either going to be an existing business in town or a utility that you have close relationships with presently that serves Lincoln County.
Okay.
So their door is open. I can say they have not mentioned a use for the green credits themselves. They've not said, oh, good, such and such is banging on our door for green credits.
Okay.
They're interested in this as a low cost form of energy.
So it's fair to say that it would be possible, but it depends on the situation at the time.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That's very fair.
Thank you.
So as I'm reading Pete's amendment here with the power purchasing authority, we would moving forward have some say in that process. That was your intention, wasn't it?
Just on the initial before construction. So.
Oh, not moving forward.
No, not after that.
Oh.
That's a free market society.
Yeah.
The only reason I put that in there is Jeff has to have an end user before he starts construction. So he's going to know who that is. So after it comes back to us, then it's a free market.
Yeah.
So in my opinion.
Sure. Just like if you give a conditional use permit for a hotel, then once the hotel is built, it can be sold, and that's just, life in America.
We will know who that is.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I will be back. They'll be here. And if it's who I think it's going to be, it would not be hard for them, and they'll want to have a good relationship with you.
But as soon as, the initial one I understand, but as soon as that market gets opened up, then it could be anywhere. And we're in a bidding war with all of the markets at that point.
If we're talking about that initial use.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is.
Sure.
Gotcha. But then it's free. Yeah. Yeah.
On the other
Go ahead,
hand,
Ed.
though, if I understand correctly, if this particular user isn't really concerned about, quote, green energy, Then he's in the open market system and he's gonna buy power that's the cheapest, and it may not be this power.
That'd be a contract.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we don't know. We're not
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
know.
there's some companies that do that.
Well, I mean,
And there's some people want to, that will pay extra. I mean, that's still out there.
Ed, that contract is what Pete refers to as the power purchasing authority. That is the contract. So you will hear the details of
All
that
right,
contract.
okay, all right. Thank you, Jeff. Okay.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Seeing none, calling the question on item number 7, as amended. Item number 7 is passed. Moving on to item number 8. Discuss and outline terms and conditions of a potential lease of city property with RS Roll-Off Solutions regarding the lease of approximately 1 acre of land at the transfer station for the short-term storage of wood debris from the Masonite door manufacturing facility. Lane, you have some details on this?
Yes, so I guess before we have any discussion on what terms would be, what we have proposed to us, Masonite door has a lot of scrap, and there's a picture in your package showing, like, basically they call them door skins. It's the outside of doors that they manufacture. They have a lot of scrap. And right now, it's going to the landfill, and they found an end user that would be able to use that product to grind up and use as a mulch material. The big thing is they're looking at a place to store it short term before they can haul it out in the larger truckloads on our facility. So that's kind of the short term of it. Now there is some concern with our permit from the state as far as our what's considered solid waste. As long as these are not treated, don't have any chemicals in them, they still considered a wood product. If they have any chemicals or things, that it kind of treads on the side of if it's solid waste or not, and then it falls under different, where it has to be inside and different things like this. But if it's, as long as it doesn't have the chemicals and things, it can be stored outside for a short term before it's hauled away. So, PJ's in the audience. He's kind of the one behind this as far as working on some of that, but that's what we're looking at. I show a map in here, really kind of towards the west side of our developed part of the transfer station area. It's where we have a dugout where we get clay from a hill. Would be kind of the best place to put it, where it's kind of out of the wind won't be able to blow stuff as much, to be away from other things. Again, there is some concerns from some of the our operators on this, but that's kind of where we're at with this. So it's before the council for consideration.
What are you proposing as a charge?
We've talked about a couple different things, either a flat charge, or it might be easier, or we would just charge the same rate as what we charge now for of our wood debris that goes out. The hauler that's taking it's $10 a ton for that, and so it would just be on how much they would haul everything in, put it in a pile, and then as it goes out, we would charge by the ton as it goes out. Might be the easier way to do it instead of a flat fee.
How many acres are sitting up there?
We have 200 some acres of pasture land to the west of this, but our kind of developed, or where the old landfill sits underneath, I don't remember exactly, 50, 70 acres, something like that. This is a small piece of that. To the north of it is where we're building the shooting range for the police for training. So we've been building for quite some time.
Is that available for council?
We have not gotten it permitted yet, so I can't say that, but probably not.
Go ahead, Ed.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. 9.41 acres, that's proposed area, Lane.
Well, but basically 1 acre. Yeah,
Point.
I did a box, and it's basically 1 acre is what's shown in that little green box. Not quite.
And so is the concern about chemicals on these door skins, does that apply only to the area where we're permitted for landfill?
That's a good question, and I don't know for sure. That's just a concern. Our whole area is permitted by the state under one permit.
Well, what I'm
And-
getting at, I guess, is we've got that property right south of Paulson's. Would that be a good location? We wouldn't have to worry about permits. We've got property there that we could use. It's very accessible
I think the reason for this location is because they're already hauling other wood debris out of there from our tree pile that we grind up.
Well, so we would grind it?
We would not grind this, but they're hauling other stuff with the same place, the same equipment from our area. So it's proximity.
So remember, Ed, we have a contract with a gentleman, I think we approved it the last meeting, wasn't it? Yeah. And they haul away all our tree waste and grind it up. And so the idea is that it would be hauled to the same location. So they're not going to different places to pick up the waste.
Or you mean after it's ground up?
No, before it's ground up.
We grind up the tree waste, but these door skins would stay in their state as in the picture, then they haul it all away. Two different piles.
Okay, I guess I don't see the difference, but go ahead, that's fine.
Go ahead, Nick.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I would like to motion to authorize the mayor to negotiate and sign and have the city attorney draw up an agreement for the use of 1 acre of the transfer station land with the following recommendations. Payment will be at the per ton rate, the same as the contracted rate for tree and wood debris. Number 2, all wood placed on the described area or described acre of land will meet the specifications of the city's permit with the state of Nebraska. Number 3, if licensee fails to abide by item number 2, this agreement shall be terminated immediately. And number 4, any damage to the land and or debris not contained will be cleaned up or repaired by licensee within 48 hours of each incident.
Second.
Motion by McNew, second by Lucas. PJ.
Yes, sir. Philip Hamilton, 818 Reed Avenue, North Platte.
Thank you. Did you listen to those conditions and are they acceptable to you?
Yeah, accepted.
Okay. Any questions for PJ while he's standing here? Brian?
So,
Oh, I'm sorry, Rod. Go ahead, Brian.
So what's the anticipated time that this stuff's going to be put out there and then shipped out?
We're hoping within a week, 10 days.
Okay.
So here's the deal. They're taking 2 40-yard containers full of these skins at 10 o'clock in the morning, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. What they do with them right now, they take them right to the landfill, they dump it, shove them into a truck, and they go right to Oklahoma. Okay? Which is a waste. So you guys entered an agreement last week with Ryan Kuhlman, and you guys are more than welcome to go down there. I can get pictures for you. He's got about 10, 12 rows that are about a quarter of a mile long. He takes in about 100 semi-loads of potatoes a year, rotted potatoes, mixes it in with dirt. He takes sawdust, mixes it in there. So the agreement with me and him are going to be, he's got 2 semi-loads or 54 semi-loads a year that's going to be pulled from that facility. Instead of being thrown away, he's going to take it down to his farm, mix it all in, mix the wood chips up. That he's got a machine that's going to grind those door skins up, mix them all in, and then he has this huge machine that goes over the top of it and grinds it all up, and then he lets it ferment, and then he uses it for fertilizer. Saves him about $1.4 million a year. We're just trying to keep it out of the landfill.
Yeah.
Rod?
Thank you.
so they're gonna pay us by the ton to store it? Is that when it comes in, they weigh the truck and
Yep.
Actually, when it goes
When
out.
it goes out, with the truck when it goes out.
it goes out? Okay. And I assume, how are you gonna keep them door skins from blowing all over when we have our 95-mile-an-hour winds?
That's why the position we picked, me and Lane talked, is it's in the bowl, it's dug out already. So it kind of goes, the wind goes over the top. We're hoping to get them out as fast as possible.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, kind of like we do at the transfer station anyway, when it's high winds, we don't accept things because of the blowing. And so if there's a day when there's 90-mile-an-hour winds, we just wouldn't accept it, just like Oklahoma won't accept stuff on high wind days, so. And again, like PJ said, hopefully they're in and out of there within, a week or 10 days.
But by moving it to a different location, that'd be almost impossible because Ryan's running 4 trucks out of there a day. Why couldn't he just fill it up, pick them up there instead of running all the way across to Paulson's? That wouldn't be feasible to us.
Go ahead, Brad.
So describing that process, PJ, you're mixing in dirt. Is that dirt from the landfill, and then you're hauling out dirt from the landfill? Or how?
No,
how's the dirt?
there's a bunch of resorts down there in Wallace area that are cattle resorts, I call them resorts, but they take the manure there and then they haul them
Gotcha.
to his place, and it's manure, dirt, stuff like that.
You're bringing in materials to mix in. You're
Yeah.
not using the existing
Right.
soil. Okay, thank you. That
And
was
we spread it over his land.
You're right.
We're not selling it to nobody. We're specifically using it for his land.
Other question, Ed?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, there seems to me like we've had some discussion about this in the past with cardboard. And it sounds to me like this may be a golden opportunity for us to get rid of cardboard.
We already are, Ed.
Good deal.
Other
Mr. Mayor,
questions or
just
Go ahead. Pete.
one quick for Peach. This will be an addition. He's still going to use our wood stuff too,
Absolutely.
isn't he? He just
Absolutely.
needs more
He
material.
just needs more material.
God bless him.
When you got 54 semis, I mean, them semis are 53 foot long they're extremely tall. That's just a ton of sawdust
Yep.
that they're throwing away.
Yep. Cool.
Any other questions,
right.
guys?
Any other questions or comments?
Do you want to sit up there?
Give me $20.
No.
Okay. We have a motion and we have a second. Any other questions or comments? Okay, calling the question on number 8 as motion. Number 8 is passed as motioned. Number 9, election of council president for 2026. We would need a nomination.
Mr. Mayor, I move to elect Jim Nisley as council president for 2026.
Second.
Mr. Mayor, I move the nominations be closed. Second.
Hold on. Pete Bowles, second by Rod Dye. Then we have a motion to close all nominations by Mr. Reeker. Were you kidding or were you serious?
You're serious.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor. This process, heck, guys. Come on. All right. We have a motion and a second on the nomination of Jim Nisley. Calling the question. Oh, sorry, Mr. Nisley, you're president.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You do too good of a job.
That's right. That's right. All right. Item number 10, approve the claims.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we pay the bills.
Second.
Motion by Reeker, second by Flanders. Calling the question on approving the claims. Claims are paid. Public agenda requests. We respect our city employees and request that any complaints or criticisms of employees not be aired in a public meeting. Concerns about employees should be brought to the attention of the city administrator or the mayor. Individuals in violation will be declared out of order. If anyone has any request for a public agenda request, please approach the microphone and tell us who you are and state your request. Mr. Reeker?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Reeker, second by Vols to adjourn. Calling the question on adjournment. Meeting's adjourned. See you all in 2 weeks.